I'm alive. Welcome back for another stream. That's not the right window. Good start. Hang on, let me flick over. We should be on that. Perfect. There we go. Welcome back for another stream. We're less than a day away from the deadline, and this is the penultimate stream of the season. I rarely get the opportunity to do live streams, which aren't the deadline, so I wanted to do one tonight. So yeah, this will be a more relaxed stream, and I should be able to keep up with chat, so get your questions in and I'll do my best to answer them. Appreciate you all being here. Tomorrow, no doubt, will be a crazy, crazy stream for the deadline. I imagine there's going to be a big turnout there. Lots of news, leaks, fake news. But yeah, for this one, all the usual content, plus I've prepared some fresh talking points, which I'm keen to get your thoughts on. So welcome to the stream, Cheekster, FPL River, Pat, Abadi, Genius Gamer, V Super, Augustine, Light Poodle, What, Please Work, Tech, XEO, Moe, Mikey, Nuisance. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you all being here on this Saturday evening. Where's everyone tuning in from? FPL Penguin in the chat. Good to see you, mate. Kaki in the chat as well. How you doing, Kaki? You going on Sunday, mate, for the meetup tomorrow? I've been trying to make my mind up whether I go while the games are on or go straight after the football's finished. I don't know if I can handle the despair in a room full of other FPL managers if my game week goes horribly. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just suck it up and go, and I'll be there for all the games, but I'll do the deadline stream before. Paulo says, hi Oscar, Vardy or Lukaku? I would say Vardy. I've been looking at him potentially as a Richarlison replacement because I have concerns whether Richarlison plays or not. He was seen in a video the other day with an ice pack on his leg. There were rumours that he was out partying hard last night, so maybe he's hanging / injured / gets the game off now that Everton have done their job. So I think Vardy would be my one there. Lukaku, hard to say if he starts or not. Probably does, but really hard to say. I wouldn't be surprised if Tuchel rotates. Ero's tuning in from Finland. Shout out to Finland. We've got Georgia, USA, Trinidad, South Africa, Switzerland, Cyprus. Welcome to the stream, everyone. You're going to the Amex. Oh, you're going to the game. Yeah, get the train to London after. Yeah, just catch the train, mate. No brainer. I can't remember if you actually live in Brighton or if you're just a Brighton fan, but I remember you saying you had the season ticket. If you can't get back, you're welcome to crash on my sofa. Pennsylvania, USA. Welcome to the stream, Todd West. Phil Goodnev says, hi, Oscar. Great voice. Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, welcome to the stream. Luke Carter says, keep Laporte. Yeah, I would definitely keep Laporte. As far as I'm aware, he's not a doubt or anything like that. So I would definitely keep hold of Laporte. Could be a tough game for City. I think they've conceded in their last 3 in a row. But I think I would keep hold. I'm more than happy to have Cancelo, and I think Laporte's a great option as well. Before we jump into the stream, I did want to say a massive thank you. I was having a look at my YouTube analytics yesterday, and this is my first season doing FPL content. I've played for 11 years now, but it's my first season doing content, and these numbers are just unbelievable. Never in a million years thought we'd get anything like this season. 6 million views on the videos and about 70,000 subscribers gained. So thank you so much for that. Wouldn't be possible without you guys tuning into the streams and watching the videos and whatnot. So thank you for that. And yeah, as a result, FPL is now my full-time job since January. So dream come true, and gives me the time to welcome more content, and there's lots planned for next season. Tech XEO says, thoughts on a punt of Cavani with Ronaldo injured? Yeah, so interesting on this. This crossed my mind as well, because Ronaldo is out for the game tomorrow. I don't actually know what the latest is on Cavani, though. I've decided I'm not going there myself. But yeah, as far as Gameweek 38 punts go, it's not the worst, but I think I prefer Vardy or someone like that. FPL Harry says, Sue, love it. Welcome to the stream, Harry. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Harry. It's going to be a mad one, I think. We need to finally get a few selfies, because we're always too busy drinking. We get smashed, talk FPL, talk YouTube, talk everything else, and forget to actually get any photos. So we need to get one tomorrow, mate. Are you going to the Chelsea game, Harry? I think a few people are going to games and then coming to the meetup afterwards. For anyone that doesn't know, there's an FPL meetup in London tomorrow. Those are the details. It's near London Bridge. Starts at 2 p.m. Obviously, the games kick off at 4. So I'm going to be going to that. I'll probably get there for about 4 o'clock, so just when the games are starting. But if anyone's interested in that, it's FPL Nima on Twitter is the guy organising it all. Thanks for the donation, Kevin. No message on that, but thank you. If you meant to include a message, just chuck it in the chat. Julio, how you doing? Thanks for the donation. He says, hey, mate, greetings from New York. Should I bring in Maddison and Bowen for KDB and Gordon for a -4? I don't think I'd get rid of KDB for a -4. I don't think I'd even get rid of KDB, period. I think the only player you can make the case for selling KDB for is Son, but even then, I think I'd only do it if I was looking to protect rank, because we do think he'll be the most captain player this game week. But I wouldn't be getting rid of KDB for a -4. That sounds like a disaster in the making, that one. I would keep hold. Madison and Bowen, obviously two very good picks, and we will have a look at the predicted points for Gameweek 38 shortly. And Madison is obviously up there. Bowen's been doing really well. Bowen's a funny one. He's been incredible this season. Probably the one player who surprised us all the most. But in the second half of the season, they had one double game week, and that was like Game Week 21. So most of us have largely ignored Bowen, but he's continued to tick along in terms of points. And I'm sure Kaki will disagree because they play Brighton, but I think he's a decent option for 38. FPL Raptor in the chat as well. Welcome, mate. I've been trying to convince Raptor to come to this meetup tomorrow as well, but he's coming up with all sorts of excuses, so I'm sure there'll be other ones anyway, Ross. Neuros says KDB to Manny for a -4. Again, I don't think I'd get rid of KDB for a -4. I just don't think it's... I don't think I'd even get rid of him, let alone for a -4. Thuso says, best triple captain, Kane or KDB? I would say Kane between those two. He's projected to do higher, and it is a really, really good fixture. I posted a tweet this morning. In the 16-17 season, Kane finished Gameweek 38 with a hat-trick and a 7-1 win. I don't think we'll see anything quite like that, but that would be class because I think I'll captain him. But yeah, I would say him over KDB. Pranjol says, start 1, Ramsdale or Dubravka, and Richarlison or Davies. So I'm starting Ramsdale currently. They're better on the clean sheet odds, so I'm just going to back the bookies on this one. In a way, I think he is the better pick regardless. Everton have done their job. Maybe Richarlison misses this one. Like I said earlier, he was seen with an ice pack on his leg, and apparently he was out partying last night, so maybe he'd be hungover, I don't know. But maybe he'll miss the game, maybe be on the bench. But Everton have done their job, so I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal keep a clean sheet in that one. And I would hope so at long last, because Ramsdale's been so disappointing. Started the season so well, and then he went, 11 games without a clean sheet this run here. His last clean sheet was Gameweek 29 against Leicester. Really poor run. Richarlison or Davies. If that's Spurs Davies, then him over Richarlison. Kevin says, who would you consider? Would you consider Captain Foden? I think Foden is a massive punt. I don't think I'd go there. He's a weird one this season. He's been a great player again, but he rarely hauls, so I don't think I would consider him for captaincy. I bet he says, who captained Aguero last season? I don't know if he's here in the chat now, but Adam, one of the stream moderators, all season he was saying, as a joke, should I get Aguero this week? And as when Aguero was just not available, injured and whatnot. And then he did finally captain him in Gameweek 38. Kaki says, let's get the quiz dream team back together. I was so drunk I can't even remember who was in our team. Was it me, you, Ross? I forget who the others were. It probably looked rigged though, because in that quiz, obviously one of the rounds were mine. But you guys genuinely got the answers right without me giving any answers. Inevitable says, KDB or Son captain. This is a good one. I would say Son between the two. But he's going to be heavily captained, so if you're at the point where you're chasing a mini league or your rank, then KDB is the punt. But I'd say Son's probably the best option this week. Not much between Kane and Son. I've got the armband on Kane just because I want to try and get a late season haul to try and sneak back in the top 10k. So one thing that's interesting is how much FPL's grown. This was something I tweeted yesterday, and 10 years ago there was 2.5 million players, and then this season we've got over 9 million. Maybe next season we'll have 10 million, and everyone talks about top 10k, and I'd like to know what you guys think about this. But I think we need to move the goalpost to a top 50k finish as a target, because I think if we go into seasons now expecting top 10k, you're going to be bitterly disappointed. 10 years ago there were 2.6 million managers, so if you came top 10k there, you're in the top 0.1%. If you come top 10k this season, you're in the top 0.4%. So yeah, it's significantly harder to come top 10k. So it's an interesting one. I do think next season I'll set my target as 50k, and then if I surprise myself, I'll push on for top 10k, but we'll have to see. But yeah, some managers have, of course, managed to smash it this season, and it's a close one between the top two. Jamie Piggott's on 2,772 points. Suvan, she's only a point behind. Who do you guys think wins FPL this season? Do you reckon it's between these two? Or do you reckon Bino or someone else is in there? He's 8 points behind in third, so he's in with a shout. They've all used their chips. I had a look at their chip usage earlier, so there's no surprise chips. In past seasons, in fact, Yusuf Sheikh, I interviewed him earlier in the season, and he... Oops, I should have muted Discord. Let me do that. Where's Discord? Mute. Done. Yeah, I interviewed Yusuf Sheikh earlier in the season. He won FPL, and he used his triple captain of Salah in Gameweek 38, but these guys have all used their chips. I spoke to Jamie yesterday just to see if he fancied doing a video or anything like that. And he basically, first of all, he said he's pretty sick at the moment, so he couldn't even talk on mic. But the other thing he said is he's incredibly superstitious, so he doesn't want to jinx it or anything like that. But he said he'd love to chat if he goes on to win the whole thing. So maybe we'll talk to Jamie next week if he wins FPL. Are you guys superstitious at all about FPL? Do you have any superstitions or routines or things you do, things you don't do to try and ensure you get a green arrow? Or is it all nonsense? Kevin says, would you... Oh, no, I did that one, sorry. Liam McKinney says, would you take a -4 for Son? Yeah, I would. I would do it, Liam. It depends who you're selling, but I think it's justified to take the -4. It's very, very risky going into this game without Son because he is going to be comfortably the most captain player. We'll have a look at the most transferred players later, but you can probably guess who the most transferred in and who the most transferred out are. But yeah, I would take the -4. Paulo says, Bino has a huge differential. Salah. Does he? Interesting. See, if I was Bino, I don't know what you guys would do, but if I was Bino and third in the overall ranks going into Gameweek 38, makes me nervous just like thinking about that prospect. But I think I would captain Salah because it's such a massive hedge against the rest. It could go horribly wrong, but I feel like it's the sort of punt you might need to rely on. Do you know what I mean? So I'd be tempted by captain Salah if I was sitting in third in the overall rankings and the two players above me didn't even have him. And obviously they're not going to pick him up. Bentley, how you doing, mate? He says, need your opinion on this one, Focal. I'm chasing 11 points on a team that doesn't own Son. Son or Reece James captain. If they don't own Son at all, then it's got to be the most obvious decision. You just captain Son. I suppose there's a chance they bring him in, but if they currently don't own Son, then you have to captain Son. Absolutely. Daniel Masson in the chat. Good to see you, mate. I was actually checking your rank the other day, mate, because we all know you spent some time in number 1. I mean, you were battling it out, and you're still having a very good season. Are you going to try anything bold for this final game week, or are you just taking a top 100 finish or thereabouts? Arabic says, Klopp says Salah is not taking a risk for the Champions League. So maybe he'll play, maybe not. Yeah, it's a massive gamble, I have to say. But if you're in third and the two above you don't own Salah, I think you have to be tempted, right? But yeah, if Salah misses out, there's certainly a chance that Son finishes the top scorer of the season. So this is a graphic I prepared for the stream, and these are the points for the season. Do you guys think Son snatches it, or do you think Salah holds on? As it stands, over the season, Salah's top 259 points. Son trails him by 13. Third is actually Trent. Fourth is Bowen. I think Bowen's one who's really surprised us, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if he gets a huge price hike next season. But yeah, 13 points is the ground that Son has to make up. So maybe 2 goals or a hat-trick, 2 goals and assists, something like that, and he might do it. But he'd be counting on Salah not playing at all. And if Salah doesn't play at all, then the golden boot is there for the taking for Son. As we all know, as everyone's been talking about the last week or so. Anurag says, Jota, hold or sell? I think I'd hold Jota. I was looking at him as a potential transfer in, but it's just a bit of uncertainty on that Liverpool front three. So I think he's a don't buy, don't sell. Harry's got a bet on Son to win the golden boot. Ooh, when did you put that on, Harry? Was that recently or early in the season? You would have got huge odds on that at the start of the season. And in terms of the points by team, this is an interesting one. Liverpool are top over the season in terms of which team has the most points. Percentage ownership. 182% is the total of Liverpool's ownership. Second is City. And it's an interesting one because there's kind of the top 5 here. Liverpool, City, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham. And it's almost like there's a notch below, a separate tier. Tottenham, Villa, Leicester, Man United and West Ham. And then it's like there's another tier below that. I don't know if you guys would say the same, but it's almost like that in the league, isn't there? There's traditional top 5 or 6. Obviously this season Man United underperforming. And then there's kind of that pack in between, like the Leicesters, the Villas, the West Ham. And then there's kind of the rest of the pack and the relegation fodder. But an interesting one, that. Salah tax. Adam's in the stream. Good to see you, Adam. Harry says, put it on before he played and scored against Arsenal. He was still 5-1 at the time. Good bet, Harry. Good bet. Yeah, so this is how I'm lining up for Gameweek 38. I've got some decisions to make. I would say Coutinho and Cash and Richarlison are all weak points. Cash maybe less so because I could start Pookie, but it's not ideal. So my original plan was Coutinho to Mount and Cash to Alonso. I'm a little bit worried about Alonso, whether he plays or not. I know it's his last game for Chelsea, potentially, so you think he starts, but they've got the likes of Kennedy, Saul, who arguably deserve a start, especially Kennedy. He got recalled from loan, and then they just didn't use him. Chelsea got third wrapped up, so I think they're going to rotate heavily. I'd like to know what you think, Harry. Caroline says, hey Oscar, Salah to Son and Watkins to Tony for a -4. What do you think? Yeah, I like both moves. I think those are sensible moves. Salah to Son makes perfect sense if you're a Salah owner. In fact, I think I prepared a graphic on the Salah replacements. So much jumping around when I do these streams. So this is a graphic for the potential Salah replacements. And yeah, I'd have to say Son is definitely the best replacement. A lot of managers are going to be looking to sell Salah, and I think this is the list. Mane, yeah, I think he's a decent punt as well. I think Liverpool put a few past Wolves. Maybe he comes off early with an eye on the Champions League final. De Bruyne as well, definitely. I'd say Mane and De Bruyne and Mount are probably my favourite three. Saka I'm surprised to see so high, but it is a good fixture against Everton, and I do think Arsenal win by a few. Ashman says, where can I get team news tomorrow? I mean, there's loads of places you can get news, but in terms of leaks, it's a difficult one. We'll do our best to cover any leaks and early news tomorrow, but Reddit and Twitter are good sources as well for that sort of thing. But in terms of the overall points for Gameweek 38, these are the predicted points. Son is top, 8.1, followed by Kane on 7.4. Trent's up there. Interestingly, Trent third. I was actually briefly looking at him as a potential captain, because Wolves are second worst in the league for expected goals and expected goals conceded over the last 6. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if Liverpool keep a clean sheet and score a few. So I think Trent's quite an appealing one, but maybe a stretch too far. Bremer says Ronaldo injury. Yeah, sadly Ronaldo's going to miss tomorrow's game, the last game of the season, with an injury. See if I can find the tweet. United report, Cristiano Ronaldo is out of Man United's match against Crystal Palace tomorrow due to a hip flexor issue. And I think this has been an ongoing issue for him all season. So it's a shame he's going to miss the last game of the season. I think there's not many that own him at this point. Certainly not in the top 10k. But yeah, shame he couldn't play the last game of the season. I'm sure he's absolutely gutted. Tech says best 1 week striker punts under 9.5 mil. Antonio, Tony, Wilson, Jesus and Cavani. Out of those, I would say Tony. So I had a look at Tony just before I went live actually, and his ownership overall is pretty high. It's about 17%. But in the top 10k, it's only 0.7%, so extremely low. Surprisingly low. So I think Tony is comfortably the best option out of those. Not just because of the fixture and so on, but also because he's got such low ownership that you can gain a significant amount there if he delivers. And it is a good fixture, home against Leeds. Danny says Trent's got 1 assist in the last 7. Yeah, that's the thing. He has dropped off. As we saw on that graphic, he's 3rd overall this season for points. But his points have dropped off in recent game weeks, so yeah, that's why I think he's maybe a stretch too far, but I don't hate the pick. FPL Penguin says, can't wait for FPL next season. Bring on June. I can't wait either. Are you guys looking forward to next season, or are you looking forward to a rest first before we go again? Are you gonna miss FPL, or are you happy to see the back of it? I would say I'm looking forward to a break. I do have some content planned for after the season's over. So if you're not, hit subscribe so you don't miss that. Got some great ideas written down, and I'll be working on those throughout the summer before next season kicks off. Some original content. But yeah, on the subject of next season, one thing that's been talked about quite a bit recently is potential things FPL could change. And I'd be keen to know what you guys think of some of these suggestions. I've got 4 here, and I'd like to know what you guys think of these potential changes for next season. So the first one is split chips. And at the moment, we obviously get a one wild card for each half of the season. And then the rest of our chips, we just get one of. This season, obviously, has been an anomaly because we had 2 free hits, but that was obviously a consequence of COVID and so on. But now we've had a taste of it. I don't hate the idea. So what do you guys think? Would you like to have all the chips split? So the first half of the season, you've got triple captain, bench boost, free hit, wild card. And then the second half of the season, you get them all back again. I think this is one of those ideas that would benefit the masses because we're obviously quite engaged managers. And for us, there's that level of tactics and chip strategy and so on. But I also think for the more casual player, it's an incentive for them to carry on playing, and I think that's what FPL ultimately want. They don't care about what benefits us, the more serious managers. It's what the masses want, what keeps people playing the game rather than quitting if their season's over. So yeah, this was one idea. I think it would be a fairly well received one, but with all these 4 ideas I'm about to chat to you about, I think there's definitely an audience or people out there that would say, it's not broke, don't fix it. I suppose you can make the case that even if it's not broke, you can still make improvements. I think I saw Sponchy in the chat. Sorry, Sponchy, I meant to read your message. And sorry I missed that. Welcome to the stream, Sponchy and Monkey Man. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, what do you guys think? Sandel says it's a good idea. Swikar says good idea. Josh is worried that it's too many chips. It's a lot of chips. And I think the downside or the negative is that there would be weeks where you're using them kind of just for the sake of it because you have to. If that makes any sense. So yeah, anyway, the second idea is potential changes to the price changes. Obviously at the moment, price changes are just a bit of a mystery. At the moment, players go up, go down, either they're nowhere near where they're predicted to. And at the moment, we're forced to use FPL statistics, or some people use Fantasy Football Fix and other sites. I don't know about you guys, but I've been screwed over by unexpected price changes in the past. Players rising when they're like 60%. And it's not totally clear what the benefit is of FPL not giving us any indication of when a player's going up or down. So one idea is if they just had on the website a price tracker. So they said yes, no, a player's going up, a player's dropping, 100% yes or no. So you know if that's going to happen. I'd like to know what you guys think though, whether that's a good idea or whether price changes should be a mystery. And further to that, the other thing they could do, rather than changing every night, what if prices changed on the deadline? So once a week, basically, or thereabouts. So each deadline is when the price changes happen, rather than sometimes every night. Sometimes players don't quite hit that price rise, price drop. Josh says, this is great. So yeah, that's one idea as well. We'll have to see. I do wonder if FPL plan to make some changes, because they did obviously send out a questionnaire this season to a large portion of managers about potential changes or improvements that FPL can make. So I wonder if they've got something planned or not. We'll have to see. This one just very quickly, it's rolling 2 transfers. So right now we can roll 1 transfer and have 2 to spend max. So the idea here is, what if we could roll 2 transfers and you've got 3 to spend? I think it'd be quite cool. The idea of making 4 transfers from -4. It's a pretty niche scenario, but it's just an idea. I don't see the downside to it. I think it'd be quite nice to have 3 banked, and obviously it gives you a lot of flexibility, almost like a mini wildcard. So yeah, that's one idea as well. I mean, 5 changes from -8, that would be massive. You could change your whole team, or a lot of your starting 11. Ayush says, Monkers shush. Good to see Ayush and the gang in chat. And the last one is partial clean sheet. So this one, obviously at the moment, if a player plays 59 minutes, they get 1 point. If they play 60 minutes, they get 2 points. And if they get to the 60-minute mark, they keep a clean sheet. Otherwise, they don't. So what if players got partial clean sheet points? For example, if a player played 55 minutes and when they got subbed off, the team hadn't conceded, and they get 2 points instead of 4 for that partial clean sheet. Just an idea, but I think it would be a good one, especially considering next season the Premier League are introducing 5 substitutions. So I think next season is going to be more difficult than ever for those of us that play FPL, because there's going to be a lot more substitutions, I imagine, and well, more so than historically anyway. So that was an idea as well, partial clean sheet points. Martin says, is there no deadline stream tomorrow, Oscar? There is, yeah. I just wanted to do a stream tonight because I don't normally get the opportunity to do streams before the deadline. And yeah, it kind of gives me the opportunity to do a more relaxed stream. Should be able to keep up with chat easier. So, and, you know, talk about things that we don't normally talk about, such as those changes. FPL Hazards doesn't like that last one, the partial clean sheet points. Nor does Random. Kind of dead, Mohammed says. Fair enough. But yeah, I think it's good to talk about potential changes. You know, some of them poor, some of them good ideas. I think some of them would benefit the game. Maybe the split chips would be a good one to keep everyone engaged, which would ultimately be a win for the Premier League. If anyone's tuning in late to this stream, once the stream's finished, I'll go back and add timestamps to everything that we've discussed so far. Keep the questions coming in. Appreciate you all being here. If you are enjoying the stream, please do hit like if you have enjoyed the content I've prepared for it so far. Sean says, Mount, Bowen or Maddison in for Zaha. Out of those 3, I like Mount the most. It was an unused substitution last game, so I think Mount's going to be good to start this one. I'm almost certainly bringing Mount in myself as a Coutinho replacement, and it is home to Watford, which is about as good as fixtures come. So I would go Mount between those 3. In order of best to worst, I would say Mount, Maddison and Bowen. But yeah, all 3 are good picks. Harry says 2 points after 45 minutes and 2 more after 60 I like. Oh, that's an interesting one. Yeah, they could do 45 minutes as the break point. So, you know, if a defender comes off at half time and they haven't conceded, you still get something, because after all, they have contributed to no goals conceded up until that point, right? So that was the thinking behind that one, but I think that last one was the least popular of all 4. Abedi, interesting one. So Abedi says, what about changing the deadlines to kickoff? And I think this one is probably one that's the most divided among all managers, because there is obviously some people in some time zones that don't want to get up and check the lineups, which obviously you'd have to do in some time zones. You know, if it's like, for example, tomorrow, it's what's the deadline? 2:30 p.m. Let's say if it was an evening deadline, say the deadline was at 6 o'clock. If you live in Australia, that's going to be in the early hours, like 3 in the morning. So you could argue that it disadvantages those that live in those time zones, because they'd have to get up and check if players in their team are playing or not. But yeah, I quite like the idea, but I can understand why people wouldn't like it. Kaki says, I think if they added 45 minutes as a break point, you'd have to up the second one to 75 or so maybe. Yeah, that's not a bad shout either. Rather than the 1 hour mark, 75. Yeah, I like that. I don't know if they'll do that one. Maybe that's probably the most extreme of the 4 suggestions, but we'll see. Harry says people never agree on the deadline. Yeah, I think that one's always going to divide the community. But one thing they really should do, this should be a thing. On the final day of the season, why not make the deadline on kickoff? Imagine tomorrow if we knew all 20 lineups. Again, I know it would disadvantage some time zones, but, you know, it's one night, just set an alarm. But, you know, I think that would be awesome if we knew all 20 lineups for the final game week. Because, yeah, Gameweek 38, historically, it's a manic game week. More goals than any other game week on average. And obviously, some teams have nothing left to play for, so there's rotation. You know, Chelsea, a good example. They're going to rotate heavily tomorrow, I'm telling you now. And that could punish a lot of us. You know, I'm a James owner, but there's people out there who have James and Alonso and Mount or something like that. Mohammed says Mount or Mane. Between those two, Mane, but obviously they're totally different price points. Omega says Mane is differential captain. Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I think he's a good differential captain. Everlong says, have you done the season recap at FPL Review? No, let's do that now. This is where you enter your ID and they tell you where your rank should be based on your decisions. Is that right? Team analysis, season review. Let's see what it says. 706. I'm actually interested to see what it says here about my season. Have you guys done the season review? If I've misunderstood how it works, let me know in the chat, but I think you enter your ID and it tells you where you should finish based on the players you brought in, decisions you've made, and so on. Let's see. What about Salah? Salah, I think if you got Salah, you have to sell him. It's just unclear if he even plays or not, if he even starts. So if I had Salah, I would be getting rid. Right, here we go. Perfect. So live ranks, 13.1k. Variance, 73%. So does that mean I've been lucky 73% of the time? I guess this means I've gained 49.5 points. My massive data rank is 1.5k, so basically I'm way below where I should be. I should be 1.5k. Is that what this suggests? Interesting. I mean, that sucks if that's true, because I'm nowhere near 1.5k. But interesting to read that. Savio says they should sort out player positions for next season. So this is another interesting one. Yeah, obviously there's a problem in terms of positions right now. We've just got the rigid defender, midfielder, attacker, and the problem with the midfielders is there's nothing similar about Kante and Salah, and Kante is always going to be an irrelevant FPL asset, and yet they both get a point for a clean sheet. So yeah, one idea is that's been proposed in the past is they add extra positions, for example defensive mid, and they get points for things like recoveries, maybe an extra point for a clean sheet, something like that. But also, people say the same about players like Salah and Son being classified as a midfielder when arguably they're closer to a forward than a midfielder. But I think they'll make some changes like Jota, Havertz, maybe forwards, but I think Son will be a forward as well, but we'll have to see. Random says, wow, you've been unlucky. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the first half of the season, I was very lucky. Which goes without saying. You don't get to number 1 in the world without being very lucky. And it's been a massive drop-off, to be fair. I think some of it's been bad luck, like that season review suggested, but some of it's just been decisions that just weren't optimal. Like when I used my free hit, I definitely should have picked up Ronaldo. I thought having Bruno and Sancho would cover me, but it definitely didn't in the end. And then in double Gameweek 36, my team underperformed what it was projected to score by about 45 points. So a few things like that. I've just been very unlucky, but also partially some poor decisions. Wayne says, start Schmeichel or Dubravka. Schmeichel. Casper or Ramsdale. Ramsdale. J Shep says, why is my comment red? It's not red for me. The man says, is a -8 too much? I have Diaz, Salah and Richarlison. It depends who you can start in their place. Salah's a definite sell. Richarlison, I think you can make the case for selling as well. So you could go Salah to KDB or Son, Richarlison to Tony, something like that. The problem is with taking hits in the final game week is you've got one game week for it to be repaid and that's it. So when I take hits, I ideally look at the game weeks beyond the next one as well. So I don't look at just that one game week for the hit being repaid. So that's the problem with taking hits in the last game week. And also taking hits right before a wild card. Sarah says, should I bring in Trent or Vardy? Cool, that's a good question. I think Vardy's the more explosive of the two. Trent's the safer pick, if that makes sense. So I think I would go Vardy. I think he's in good form. I imagine he starts this one. We might get some early news tomorrow from Sam Martin, who's kind of the Leicester go-to guy. In fact, I spoke to Sam earlier, and it's possible we don't get a leak because he got a bollocking from Brendan Rodgers, the man himself, about the leaks. So we'll have to see if we get one tomorrow or not. But I think Vardy, he's such an explosive player. Before the Chelsea game, he scored back-to-back braces, so I think Vardy's the more explosive pick of the two. Am I still going with Captain Kane after illness rumours? Yeah, I will be. I think I read that Kane's actually back in training, so I think there's no concerns there. Larea Frenesi says, will Kane start or should I move him for a -4? Yeah, I'm almost certain he starts. I wouldn't get rid of Kane. Keep hold of him. Hi Arthur, how you doing? Kane would play with one leg, says Ryan. Yeah, I agree. Kane would have to be in a really bad way to miss this one. It's the last game of the season. It's against Norwich. There's no way Kane misses it. He'd have to be seriously unwell. I think if he had flu, he'd still play. Harsh says, is Havertz a keep? That's a really tough one, because it is a very good fixture for Chelsea, but it's very hard to say if he starts or not, and I do think that Tuchel rotates quite heavily. He reportedly hinted at it in a presser, so I wouldn't be at all surprised if some youngsters, some fringe players get a start, Barkley, Saul, those kind of players. So I'd be very tempted to sell Havertz if I had him, if you've got no other pressing moves. Velez says, I've got 2 transfer options, Watkins or Rich to Lukaku or Holgate to Trent. 208th rank, unbelievable rank. I think I would go Trent, Holgate to Trent between those two. Casper says, thoughts on Captain Sterling as a punt? It's a huge punt. He's just such a hot and cold player. It's very, very risky. I don't think I would do it. I think it's a stretch too far to Captain Sterling. But let's have a look at who the most transferred players are heading into 38. Top is Son. He's been brought in by 240,000 managers as it stands. Bowen's second. Like we were saying earlier, Bowen, we've really overlooked him. He's been smashing it this season, and earlier on he was in everyone's team. And then he got that minor injury, and obviously West Ham had no further double game weeks, so we never really looked at bringing him back in until perhaps now for most of us. No, I think he's a good pick for the Brighton game. De Bruyne third, 215k. Kane's there, Tony. I think Tony's a really strong pick. Diaz as well should be. Maddison's been smashing it. 21 goal contributions from Maddison this season. I think he's got 11 goals, 10 assists. Matip's a really good pick as well, if you can't stretch to Robertson and Trent. Not sure about Nketiah. My concern there is Lacazette leaving after this season, and I wonder if Lacazette's involved. Teeny says, loving this chiller stream. Yeah, me too. It's good to do a more chill stream. The deadline streams are absolutely hectic, which I don't mind, but it's harder to keep up on chat. So it's good to do a stream before the deadline because I don't normally get the opportunity. So yeah, thank you all for tuning into this. But as we expected, Salah's the most sold by a long way. 483k have sold Salah. Dennis second. I don't think many of us are ever going to forgive Dennis for what he did in that double game week. The first ever FPL meetup I went to was that double game week where Dennis scored -1, and I remember watching it on TV with like other FPL managers, and I just couldn't believe what I was watching. It was just the most hilarious situation. It was something like out of a comedy. The atmosphere in that room, some people were head in hands, some people were on the tables, like celebrating. And anyway, yeah, it's a shame for Dennis. It's kind of a season of 2 halves, but he's done all right. 10 goals, 7 assists. Van Dijk's there. Obviously a lot of Villa players because they face City. No surprise there. Anyway, keep the questions in. Thank you so much everyone that's tuning into this stream so far. Hendo says, round of applause to Oscar this season. Appreciate that, Hendo. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you tuning into lots of my streams. There's lots of names here I recognise. Hendo, please work. Titan says, Man United players such as Bruno or Elanga as a differential. I think that one's a stretch. I wouldn't be surprised if Palace calls an upset tomorrow. I really wouldn't be surprised. United have just been so... Yes, Harry, head and hands. Harry was one of them. So there's that video of Harry after the Dennis goal. I think Harry had... did you have Dennis captain? Someone was recording on their phone and they kind of like swung the camera around, and then Harry's just there like, couldn't believe the Dennis red card. -1. Unbelievable. Kaki says Bowen has to blank. He's up against the best team in the league. There you go. You heard it here first. Bowen blank. Avoid him. Look at Mount or Maddison over Bowen. I did genuinely think that. I think Mount and Maddison are better picks than Bowen. But Gameweek 38 is always an unpredictable one, so wouldn't be surprised if you get something either. Tim, how you doing, mate? He says, love the stream, mate. Keep it up. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Nice chill stream today. Still a good turnout. Appreciate everyone being here. 700 watching now. Thanks for being here. FPL Bateman says, an upset will be Palace losing. I think you're right. In my opinion, I think Palace win that. I think Palace win. I think it's 2-1 to Palace tomorrow. On the Discord server, we've got a channel for a predictor game. I think I'm 4th in the league, so I've bottled it. I'm not going to win it, but I think I had Palace 2-1 winning that. If anyone's not on the Discord, I'll chuck a link in the chat. Vinay says Maddison or Mount. I think Mount between the two of them. There's not much to separate them. Obviously, Maddison's absolutely smashing it, but I think Mount's a better pick. Had a rest last game, faces Watford at home. Really good fixture to finish the season. But they're both great picks. I wish I had room to get Maddison, but really I'd have to sell Saka or Zaha. I don't think it's worth it because I've got other fires to put out. Greg says, hey, did I hear Sessegnon and Emerson Royale are sick? I want to get Royal. I did hear they had illness, but I don't know what the latest is in terms of whether they're okay or not. Let's check what Premier Injuries says. If anyone hasn't used it, premierinjuries.com. It's the website made by Ben Dinnery, the legend of injuries himself. He tracks all the injuries and obviously logs them in a nice table here, so you can just go and check the injury status of any player who's out. Has he got Cess here? He hasn't even got them logged here. So I imagine they're fine. I imagine they're absolutely fine. Otherwise, he'd have them logged here. But yeah, as always, especially this game week, wait until it's closer to the deadline before making any moves, because we're bound to get some early news one way or another tomorrow. I remember last season we had the entire Man United lineup leaked. And I won't be at all surprised if we get some leaks this season, this game week as well. If I get any early Palace news, I'll definitely tweet it. AJ says, cash to who? Cash to who? It depends who you can afford, because the premiums are obviously very obvious picks. You know, Trent, Robertson, Cancelo. I think James. Alonso is maybe a bit of a risky one, but Robertson, Trent, they'll be my picks. If you can't afford that much, if you're looking for someone about the same price, then I'd say Sessegnon or Matip. Wei Seng says, can anyone send a link? Yeah, I'll chuck it in the chat. Hang on. Yeah, if anyone wants Premier Injuries, that's the link to the table. premierinjuries.com/injury-table. No, just premierinjuries.com and then click on the injury table. Vivek says, I've got Mendy and Schmeichel. Whom to start? Start Mendy, but I'm expecting Kepa to start this one, I'll be honest. The man says, why do you always get Palace news? To be fair, I don't actually get it directly to me. There's a forum where someone shares it and I just pull it off there. Yeah, AJ, if you can't afford premium defenders, then I would say Sessegnon and Matip are the two defenders that you can afford for less than what cash costs. Can you hear the Discord sound? Can you hear Discord? I can't hear it. Let me know in the chat if you can hear the Discord sound. Is that what you mean, Ryan? JT Hillier says, best mids for under 8.5 mil. Best three, I would say, are Mount, Maddison and Bowen. Zach says, Kane or Son. I think Son's the best captain option, but Kane not far worse. I'm probably going to go for Kane just because I want to pick a differential, higher upside pick. It is a gamble. It could backfire, but I think I need to take the punt. I'm only 11 points outside top 10k, so I may as well finish the season with a punt. Johnny says, what transfer are you thinking of making? I'm thinking of doing Coutinho to Mount and then Richarlison to Tony. Thanks, Kaki. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing that. Coutinho to Mount, Richarlison to Tony for a -4. It's not ideal because it's a -4 in Gameweek 38. And like I said earlier, never ideal taking a hit in the last Gameweek of the season. But I think it's necessary. Richarlison, I'm not sure if he even starts this one or not. And Coutinho against Man City is not great. Not sure if he even starts either. But regardless, it's not a good fixture. So I think it's necessary. Barry says, Oscar, are you still hoping Arsenal get 4th? Obviously, I hope they do. But do I think they do? Definitely not. It really would be a miracle if Arsenal finished 4th. But I've got fond memories of, was it 2015-16 when Arsenal needed Spurs to lose and they played Newcastle and they ended up losing 5-1 to Newcastle. And yeah, Arsenal ended up 4th. But this would be even more extreme. You know, it's Norwich. It really would be a miracle. It's not going to happen. Ronaldo says, do not remove Richarlison. The thing is, does he play or not? He was seen in the video with ice on his leg. Apparently he was out last night partying. So, I don't know. I'm just not sure if he even starts or not. Harry says, I think Pookie scores early and then Spurs win 4-1. That's all I needed to hear, Harry. Pookie starts for me. Happy with that. Because the other option was I could do Coutinho to Mount, cash to Alonso, and then bench one of Pookie or Richarlison. But I do have concerns about Chelsea in rotation. I do think Chelsea will rotate heavily. 3rd is locked up, so there's no excuse not to give some fringe players, some academy players, and some players that are going to be leaving game time. So, yeah, we could see Kennedy play, Saul perhaps, Barkley, maybe some youngsters from the academy. We'll have to see. You're on a -16, Rommel. Oh, sorry, AJ. If you can afford anyone, I forget which defenders you said you had, but out of the premium defenders, Trent, Robertson, Cancelo, James, those would be the 4. I'm assuming you haven't got all 4 of those. What are your thoughts on Coventry City? Good question. I have no opinion on Coventry. What division are they in? Are they in the Championship? Who do we think's coming up, by the way? Huddersfield v Nottingham Forest is the final. That's going to be played on next Sunday, so a week tomorrow. I really would like to see Forest come up. Obviously, Mark Southern's a massive Nottingham Forest fan, so I think it'd be great for him as well. But I'm fairly indifferent. Who's picking up Mitrovic then next season? Broke the record this season in the Championship for goals. He scored, was it 40 goals? 43 goals, 7 assists Mitrovic scored this season. Absolutely ridiculous numbers. But he's been in the Prem in the past before and he's massively flopped. So is it going to be any different this time? I had him a couple of seasons back in Gameweek 1 and he was terrible as an FPL asset. OP Talent says Zaha to Mount, Diaz or Foden. Play Weghorst, Broja or -4 and Ketia. So I would go for Mount, but I'm not keen on selling Zaha unless we get any news tomorrow that Zaha misses out. I think Zaha is fine for Man United at home. It's not a bad fixture at all. But yeah, between those three, it'd be Mount. I think I would play Broja. I wouldn't take a -4 from Ketia. It's not worth it. Almost broke the record for the national team. So if you guys could pick a favourite and a least favourite player this season, who would it be? Who surprised you the most? Who's been the biggest troll for you this season? Jack says Wilson or Tony? Tony. Random says, what about Doherty to Sessegnon? Yeah, I like that move. Good move. Best triple captain, Son or Kane? Son, I would say, is best. Kane second. Yeah, I think Bowen's definitely one. Paula says Bowen. I think he's really surprised us this season. 10 goals, 17 assists. 27 goal contributions is just ridiculous. Alex says Bowen as well. Sanol says Salah and Reece James. Reece James for troll, right? Yeah, he's been a real troll. He's such a hit and miss player. If you catch him at the right time, you absolutely laugh him. But there was that run where you're really, really disappointed. I think Son's another one as well. 21 goals, 10 assists. But yeah, arguably we expected it more from him than we expected it from Bowen. True Fandela, thank you for renewing the membership. He says, hi Focal, Saka to Bowen, Diaz or Foden. I wouldn't be selling Saka if I had him. I'll be honest. I wouldn't be selling Saka. I think Arsenal win fairly comfortably. It's at home. Everton have done the job. They've got nothing to play for now. So I think Arsenal win that one by a few goals. And I think Saka's going to be involved. So I don't think I'd sell Saka. I would keep hold of him. But if you're dead set on it, I think Bowen between those three. But arguably it's a downgrade, not an upgrade. Danny says Gallagher surprised me the most. Yeah, he went through that run where he was such a good asset and I never had the opportunity to hop onto him. But yeah, he was a great pick. I think it was 5.5 mil. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he does next season. Whether he plays for Chelsea or whether he gets another loan. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Bateman says Digne for the biggest troll. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there's a few names you could throw in there, though. Dennis, you could definitely throw in there. FPL Harry says Dennis about 5 times over as my least favourite. Yeah, I think Dennis is another one you could chuck in for biggest troll of the season. LR Rangers fan says Dennis and King have both been trolls. Yeah, King's another one. The thing is, Dennis has been a troll, but King was one of those who was putting up the bare underlying numbers. And being the absolute XG merchant that I am, I went for King over Dennis. And Dennis just kept delivering, overperforming. In a way, it's a similar thing to what's happening with Kane and Son. Over the last 6, Kane's numbers are actually a fair bit better than Son's. You know, in terms of expected goal involvement, shots in the box. But Son's been the one that's putting up the points. And that's, at the end of the day, what actually matters. So yeah, I think King and Dennis you could definitely chuck in there. Yeah, Saka's a good one. Saka really has surprised me. Obviously, we knew he was going to improve, but 11 goals, 8 assists. He's been brilliant. 174 points. You know, if the trend continues and he does even better, next season he could have a 200-point season. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he gets priced at. What do you think they price Saka at? 8.5 maybe? That would be a 2 mil price rise. Maybe 8 mil would be fairer. 7.5 or 8. I think 8.5 is probably too much. Tim says, is it worth taking a -4 to get rid of Alonso? No, definitely not. I wouldn't take a -4 to get rid of him. Alonso's in that don't buy, don't sell territory for me. I looked at him, but I'm a bit concerned whether he starts or not. If he starts, you're absolutely laughing. And to be fair, it's could be his last game in a Chelsea shirt, so maybe he gets the nod to start for that reason. Madison's a good one as well. Wayne said Madison. Weghorst. How did we forget Weghorst? Yeah, Titan says Weghorst is my troll. Definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that. I think this season we're going to have a new record that might never be broken again. This was a graphic I put together earlier, which is the total scores from the past winners. And it shows how much harder the game's gotten. The very first season of FPL, 1,900 points would have won you the whole thing. I'm guessing right now that many points would put you like 3 mil. You know, how many points am I on now? 2,544. My points tally now would have won me the whole thing, you know, even in 2017-18. But I suppose this season has been extreme. But yeah, the point is that Jamie Piggott is currently on 2,772 points. So he's comfortably above the all-time record already. He's obviously going to blow way past 2,800. So I don't know if we'll ever see this score broken again. Unless FPL make one of the changes we were talking about, like adding split chips. Barry says, Kulusevski surprise. Reece James is my troll. Yeah, Kulu's a good one, actually. He's had a massive impact since joining. He's been a good FPL asset. Obviously, the last couple he's disappointed, but yeah, he's really, really been good. And definitely one of those that will get a big price rise. And they got his price wrong when they added him. I think he was 6 mil when he was added to the game, which is obviously way, way less than it should be. I imagine he'll go up to something like 7.5. Gilo says Bowen or Madison and Gelhardt for Richarlison and Gordon for a -4 hit. I don't think I would take a hit for Gelhardt. But if you really want to pick one of those, it would be Madison for me over Bowen. I think Madison's better for 38. He just about snuck onto the top predicted points for 38. This is from FPL Review. And he's on 5.1 predicted points. Bowen misses out. Off the top of my head, I think Bowen was on about 4.7 predicted points. So not much in it. But I would say Madison. Neil says, getting Madison and Kane for a -4. Depends who you're selling, but I would agree with that. I think they're good moves. -4. Savia says, all forwards are trolls. Yeah. I would agree with that as well. This season, the forwards have just not been it. Which is crazy because at the start of this season, Ronaldo joins Man United. Lukaku joins Chelsea. It looked like we were going to be sport for choice with forwards and going to have a real headache picking which forwards to fit in. As it happened, neither of them were particularly good FPL assets. Ronaldo certainly has done better. Lukaku's really, really flopped. But the rest of the forwards haven't really done much. There's been no consistent forwards. Antonio over those first 3 game weeks, 4 goals and 4 assists, and then he goes and scores about 1 goal over the next 20 game weeks. Mikhail, thanks for renewing the membership. He says Watkins and Trent to Kane and a 4.9 mil defender. Trent rested. I don't think Trent will be rested. He was rested last game. So Kane and a 4.9 mil defender. I don't think I'd sell Trent. If I was going to get rid of Watkins, I would just go down to Tony. It's a massive gamble on Trent being rested, which I don't think happens. Jacob says Tarkovsky, biggest... Don't shut up, did you triple captain Tarkovsky? I have to say, you're unlucky there, because yeah, like you said, Ben Mee got 21 points. By the way, I had Ben Mee on my bench that game week. That was the game. That was the game when Burnley didn't have a very good double, so I benched him, and yeah, he scored 21 points. I think he got 2 clean sheets, a goal, 3 bonus in each, something like that. Yeah, that's so unlucky. Huge swing. It's been the season of swings, to be fair. Was it game week 7 when Chelsea had Norwich at home, and everyone went captain Havertz? Well, not everyone, but a lot of people went for Havertz and captain him. Chelsea scored 7 and he wasn't involved in any of the 7 goals. And then Salah scores like 24 points against Man United. Just a ridiculous swing. It's been the season of swings, I would say. Kane and Son, another swing. Back around, where was it? I think it was about here. Son blank for 2 in a row. And I had to pick one of Son or Kane to bring in Salah for. Because Salah had Watford at home. It made perfect sense at the time, and Kane looked the better asset. So I sold Son for Salah. And then it was right when Son went on this run here, and he's been a massive part in my rank drop. over the last 6 or so game weeks. So, yeah, brutal swing. Mikey says the variance on FPL review is 96.9%. Doesn't mean I'm lucky or unlucky. That means you're very lucky. My understanding is the higher it is, the luckier you've been. I think mine was about 70 odd %. Mine said for massive data, which I think is the most accurate one because this is the premium data model that FPL Review use. It said my rank is 1.5k, but I've had 73% luck. So yeah, I believe the higher this percentage is, the luckier you've been. Apparently I'm not much of a risk taker. Perhaps that's also been part of my downfall, not more. Should have been more aggressive with hits there and there, especially in the double game weeks. One thing that certainly didn't help my rank either. So I used the bench boost earlier in the season, and it worked about as good as I could have hoped. But it actually played against me a bit in the end because I used it before COVID was a thing again, and there was no postponements or anything like that. And as it happened, it was relatively easier than it historically has been to prepare a good bench. Barry says, Oscar, will Haaland be in your team Gameweek 1? Good question. How much do you guys think Haaland costs next season? 12 mil? But yeah, I'd be very, very tempted. It's going to be hard next season because you're going to want to have Salah. Forget how this season's ended for him. It's not been a great end to the season for Salah. He's still an absolutely world-class player, and he's in my Game Week 1 team next season, without a doubt, barring injury. But a lot of people are going to want Son, Kane, Haaland, Trent, Robertson, Cancelo, James. Sorry, did I miss the super chats? Let me scroll up. Got Mikey's, got Jacobs, did Mikel's. Did I miss any? I think I got them all. Which one did I miss? Ah, sorry. Andre says, hey Oscar, is a -8 worth it? More specifically, Mane, Barnes and Sessegnon in for Salah, Dewsbury Hall and Ruben Diaz, or stick to a -4 and do Martinelli to Barnes. Really difficult one, that. I like the Salah to Mane move. And Ruben Diaz is obviously a problem, but it depends who you can afford to start in his place, or lack thereof. I think I would take a -4. I don't think I would take a -8. And it depends who you can afford as a Martinelli replacement. I like Mount and Maddison more than Barnes, but if you can't afford that much, then I like the Barnes pick. I was actually looking at Eriksen earlier. I wouldn't be surprised if Eriksen has a good game at 38, but I think Barnes is a better pick there. Joey says, how many hits is worth if bench boosting in 38? I've got 1 free transfer. It's very, very dependent on who you're getting rid of for the bench boost. Who you're getting rid of for the player you're taking a -4 for. You know, for example, if you've got someone like Coutinho, maybe that's a bad example, someone like Gordon, it's probably not worth taking a -4 for someone at a similar price point, if that makes sense. I would just not take that -4. So it's hard to say. But in a nutshell, it's a 1 week punt. So if you think they're going to outscore them by 4, do it. Otherwise, don't. Oh, I'll scroll up even more. Sorry, Joey. Ask it again, Joey. I'll keep an eye out. Oh, I did do it. Sorry, that was the question on the bench boost. Yeah, on a Game Week 38 bench boost, it just depends if who you're bringing in, you think it's going to outscore them by 4. It's as simple as that in 38. Earlier in the season, it's a bit more complicated because you've got more opportunities for that hit to be repaid, if that makes sense. Pliz Work says, Haaland will be nailed. Do you reckon? Immune to Pep Roulette. John says he's 5 points off the top 5k. Do I captain Kane or Son? I think I would just go Son and take your top 10k. I don't know if I would go bold with Kane. Mohammed says, what's the name of the song you use in your videos? I think it's called Cielo with a C. C-I-E-L-O from Harris Heller. Anyway, I think we're going to call it a day there. It's been a good stream. We've been talking for a good 70 minutes. If anyone's not in our Discord, I'll chuck a link in the chat. Tomorrow is going to be incredible on the Discord during the match, in the live match channel. So make sure you join, get involved. I'll be on there after this stream, but I'm going to call it a night there. But I will add timestamps to the stream, so if anyone missed any part of the stream, then you can go back and rewatch that. Thank you everyone that has tuned in. Thank you again for your support this season, watching my streams, videos. Really, really grateful. And I'll see you all tomorrow for the deadline stream. Focal out.